Hey, welcome back to the Default Answer Show. I'm Christian Hustle, and I have a very special episode today because we're going off script. I'm trying to repurpose this episode to share it with several people who have asked me, why is my multi-location business not showing up? Even when they have good star rating, they're doing local SEO, their competitors are still being recommended before them in AI, things like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, etc. So I don't really have a script per se for today's episode, but instead I figured I'd show you how I audit a location-based business to find gaps that may be causing AI to avoid you or to recommend you if it's working out well. That's why I'll be talking about things like what AI actually does when selecting a business to recommend. And I have more videos about this topic, but I'm going to go briefly over it. I'm going to talk about the consensus factor, explaining that. What does that mean? The role of Google Business Profile and reviews, structured data, and semantic alignment, which is going to be crucial in today's episode, as you will see in my audit. Why review language matters more than just your rating, and how to reverse engineer AI shortlist so that we can figure out what do we need to do and fix to get your brand to be recommended. So for this example, I'm going to be analyzing two different med spa companies based in Texas. One is larger than the other. And I don't know these med spas at all. I'm not working with them whatsoever at the moment of this recording. I have nothing against them either. This audit is simply for educational purposes. However, if the owners of these med spas are watching, reach out because there's a ton of things we can improve on. So let's get started. So I'm going to jump over my computer and I'm going to use a tool that I've been building, my own technology that I use to audit, track, and do all things AI to help clients be chosen and be the default answer. So I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm going to run a AI mention tracker, or let me rephrase that. I already ran it because I don't want you to be watching me type all the prompts and all the things that I want to look at, but we're going to look at this one specifically. Now, I'm also going to pull it up on Google. And by the way, if you're watching or listening this on the audio experience, I'm going to try to talk you through. But if you want to save it for later and watch the video, you can watch it on YouTube, of course. So we're doing this first one. It's called Skin Spirit Austin. And, they're close to me. That's why I picked Austin. And so far, when you look at them on Google, they look good, right? They have 4.9 star rating, 181 Google reviews. They seem to have been acquired recently, I believe is this one. And now they have, actually, don't quote me on that, but now they have more locations. So I was trying to pick smaller ones, but turns out they have a good number of locations. It does not matter in our audit because that's where the magic happens. Google is not really promoting more franchises than locally owned businesses. And that's the beauty of AI, if you ask me. So let's start with a quick snapshot of what is their visibility on AI. So at the very beginning, one of the things that calls out is their visibility score on AI is very low. It's 13%, so 13 points out of 100 that we look at, while the average competitor is at 50%. So there's a big gap in how many times this med spa is being recommended compared to the competitors. The platform coverage, so they are mentioned. We're testing 10 different prompts. 4 of them are related to med spa. So think like best med spa, top rated, what do you recommend as a med spa? And then the rest are based on services they offer. I got those from their website. So it just said best Botox in Austin, best lip filler, specifically the services. So from those, I can see that ChatGPT mentioned them 4 out of 10 times. But Perplexity and Gemini did not mention them whatsoever. So obviously red flag there. Competitor visibility is the same thing. I mean, all 3 top competitors that we identified are beating them in AI search results. The top one being mentioned 15 times. The other one says 10 and 8 mentions. So the position against competitors right now is 4th. So last in the list that we're looking at. Key insights, obviously we can see that there's a significant gap between this med spa, Skin Spirit, compared to the top dominating ones right now. For obvious reasons, those competitors like Viva Day Spa and Ideal Image are frequently recommended by these platforms. So there's a clear opportunity to increase local market share if you're able to get AI to recommend this brand. And that's what we're going to start digging deeper into. So for that, I'm going to go over the actual audit that I ran on these companies. And I'm going to start with the first one. What are those factors that AI is looking at? Because AI is not ranking as Google and traditional search has been doing. AI is really evaluating what it knows about your business and validating. So it's looking at not just your reviews, but sentiment. What are people talking about you on Google reviews? What are the services offered on your website, on Google Business Profile, and on other directories out there? So it's really trying to find as much data as it can and then tries to self validate what is true, what has evidence, like what service, if you're talking about Botox, how many reviews are talking about Botox? Is there pictures about your facilities, your building, your office, your staff? AI is really thinking, how can I validate these services and the quality they're promising with what customer experience is saying? So with that, we're going to start looking into this. Obviously, I did not expect to see a high selected score here for obvious reasons. I mean, if they're not being recommended, is because there are some issues that we need to address. There's some gaps. So obviously here we have a 51 out of 100 for selected score, which means the website and the brand is optimized 51%, and the probability of recommendation is at 7%. So obviously very, very low compared to 63% from competitors. I'm going to go deeper into this, but we're noticing issues with reviews. We're noticing a few issues with consistency and local intent signals. And one of the big ones that I want to show you, and I'll leave that for later, but there's going to be schema issues that I found. So let's keep digging deeper. It looks like query eligibility, it is being recommended for Botox, which is great. But for some reason, it's really the main one. It's not being recommended as med spa. It's not being recommended for near me or anything around med spa. So that just shows me that AI is hesitant to recommend this brand. It has nothing to do with quality of service. I'm sure they do great. I'm sure that people love them. I mean, they do have 4.8 stars. So that means there's a data footprint problem, and it is somewhere. We just need to find it. So what I would do next is start analyzing their abilities. Why is AI choosing a competitor? So when I look over here and I start talking about reviews, there is a gap between the reviews that are being generated and they're not mentioning the core service as much. So AI cannot use the sentiment to validate how good is the service, the prices, or more specifically, feedback about how was the experience with that service. On the other side, there seems to be a gap with near me. So near me queries mean AI knows where the user is at, but is not fully sure where this location's at. And that could be, several different variety of problems that need to be solved. But in a nutshell, it's not very clear the location, where is it at, and how distance relevant it is to that user at the moment of search. At the same time, there are good things, obviously, that are being shown for a few prompts, so they're not completely invisible. And what's working well for them is entities clarity. They know what the business is about, and they're trying to recommend the business. They're just not fully there yet. Their local signals seems to be consistent, so that means service area signals are aligned on some places, but there's something at the end that is not helping with those nearby prompts. And corroboration strength is high, so that means directories, citations, and things of that nature seems to be doing well there. So I'm going to skip the recommendations for now. I'm going to go into the nitty gritty. I'm going to break down into pillar breakdown, which is what I really like to see. So here we're talking about entity clarity. It seems to be doing well. Businesses on the homepage, the city or locations on the page. Clear service is stated. There is contact signals present, so that's looking good. Let's go over extractability. So can AI pull clean answers? It seems to be doing well here. I mean, it seems to be answering what they do in the first 200 words. There is structure headings present, which because all these things are present tells me they're probably doing local SEO. There are some lists out there on the website, and we can take a look at the website as well. And there seems to be sufficient text. So the page is not thin. It has enough information for AI and for the users. When we look at local relevance, what are the things that I look at? I want to make sure that the local intent matches what's on the site, right? Or what's on the page. So there seems to be mentions of city. The address is visible. And the category on the Google business profile seems to be aligned with the website. So far, so good. Again, corroboration, reviews looks good. Google ratings actually 4.9, so I said 4.8 earlier. The website is linked on Google Business Profile and NAP consistency. So name, address, and phone number seems to be consistent between website and Google. So far, so good. And this is where it got very interesting. I can keep going on this, but I want to call out one thing that I noticed on technical readiness. So we're talking about technical readiness is it's also known as technical SEO. So what is the code saying on your website? Not just your text, but how is the code implemented? How well structured it is? And more importantly, this is where schema comes in. Schema structured data is basically a very quick summary of what your business is about, your location, business hours, your prices, because AI works in very fast speeds. So when they come to your website, they don't want to read your entire website to understand what do you do, who are you, and where are you located. If you can give them schema data, it's basically just a set of bullet points that says, hey, we are an organization and this is our category. In this case, ideally, we want to see things like day spa or we want to see medical business. I think those are the best two that you can pick for med spas. Obviously, there's a long category. You can go to just Google schema. I think it's schema.org. And there's a section that you can look at. At the very minimum, you would want local business because you are running a local business. But there's a lot of subcategories nowadays. And some categories even have third level categories. Like I know restaurants have been added, but now inside restaurants, there's subcategories like steakhouse or seafood or fast food. So you want to pick which are the most aligned with your business and add that to the website, which brings me back to technical readiness because this is where I found an issue. So let's look at the landing page because this is the specific location that we're auditing. And honestly, it looks good, right? I can see that they're targeting Austin. I can see their information, the clinic hours, can see 3 sentences about them. Very, very quick and short, straight to the point. I can see the list. This is what the AI audit was talking about. There is a list of service categories like dermal fillers. And then inside, there's a bullet list with what kind of dermal fillers they offer. Same for facials, right? So all these are categorized, they're structured well. AI saw that in our audit earlier. And then we can see pictures of their staff. There's 4 pictures here of their staff, their names and their titles. They have 3 testimonials here, so that's a good sign. Continue to more about directions and where to park. They do have a Google Maps embedded. All these things that I'm calling out are great to have. So if you don't have any of these, that's where I would start. Go at them immediately. They have clear CTA, book now. They have links for social, careers, about us. So overall, the page looks good. The page is doing what it's supposed to, but there are a few things that are screaming at me. One, I see like Austin downtown is great. You're addressing the service area that you're, offering your service to, but I don't see a keyword, right? I don't see what is it that they do immediately. I have to scroll down to find out that they're a med spa. So these are the little things that AI is very keen on because they need information at speed. So that's where schema comes in. So I'm going to go into my schema checker and I'm going to show you this real quick. I want to make sure I copy the right URL. So I'm going to copy this URL and I'm going to plug it in here. I built this schema checker in my own software just so that I could keep all my tools in one place. But this is exactly the same. You can go to Google Rich Result, or you just go to Google and search for schema checker, plug in your location page or your homepage if you're using your homepage as your main page, and it'll tell you what can it see, what is extracting from your schema. So this is where it gets interesting because when I run this, it's finding one schema type. Guess what? Is not the ones that I talked about. Is not day spa and is not medical business. It's actually giving me beauty salon. So that immediately is very conflicting to AI because AI is coming into the website and pulling the information and retrieving schema and saying, okay, I can see your telephone, I can see your business hours. Actually, if I expand this, I can see exactly what AI is seeing, right? This is the code. It's seeing that they have a telephone, they have their address, they have their geo coordinates, they have their business hours and when they're closed, when they're open. So in a nutshell, it looks good, except the type of schema is beauty salon. And this is not a beauty salon, right? This is a medical spa. It's a day spa, as schema would call it. So this alone is really causing that conflict that could be the last missing piece of why this business is not being recommended. So AI is looking for things like longevity statements, experience claims. So how long has the business been open? I think I have a little glitch here on this audit, not gonna lie, is not recognizing that they've been open for quite some time. But when I look at the website, it says 20 years of experience, or, oh, actually, that might be why. It says with 20 years of excellence. So my auditor is looking for actual, more into like since 1999 or that, mentality. So ignore that one. It is there, but the trust language seems to have an opportunity, but there is not detecting trust language, is not detecting any awards or recognition. And schema is definitely being called out here as is not authoritative enough. So again, these are those nuances, the little things that could be breaking all these optimization that the company is doing. And they're just missing those little pieces to click so that AI can feel confident to recommend them. Now let's talk about reviews because this is where it gets super interesting and I'm very fascinated by this. So they obviously have a good review velocity. I believe I was checking it earlier and they have 181 reviews. When I look at the date, it was 3 days ago, 6 days ago, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month ago. So it seems to be that it's about one a week. If you ask me, it's a little bit slow. So on the slower side is not as fast as AI wants to see it because reviews are going to validate your promises, what you're promising the customer. And so one a week is just not enough speed. And that could also be triggering the lack of recommendation in AI. So if they could boost that up to maybe 2 a week or 3 a week, that could really give confidence to AI to recommend them. But I'm going to analyze the sentiment. I ran this, it takes a few minutes to really read all the reviews. So I had to run this before I hit record. But basically, the sentiment here looks pretty good. I mean, they're talking about personalized and detail oriented care. Some of them are talking about their experience, helpful clinical advice. Now, let's talk about the recurring concerns because this is where AI is really feeding off of. They want to know, and by the way, I want to mention that AI expects every business to have cons, to have concerns, but it's equally going to be looking out to see how are you fixing those concerns and how are you addressing them. It's actually going to be contradictory if you have 1,000 reviews, all 5 stars, and saying you're perfect. That's very unrealistic, right? You and I know that. So it's good to have that 4.8, 4.9. It's good to have negative reviews nowadays. But the important part is how are you addressing them? Are you actually solving the issue in your process, in your service, in your staff? Or are you simply just responding and saying, hey, thanks for your negative review. We're okay. We have a lot of other clients, being dramatic there. So the recurring concerns that we're seeing here are sudden appointment cancellations, difficulty reaching customer service after scheduling issues, and poor communication regarding schedule changes. Just as I read this, I already see the trend. There may be an issue with their scheduling tool. There may be issues with how the language is on that appointment. Like maybe there should be an easier way to reschedule, to change appointment details or things of that nature. But that is a concern to AI. Now, this is a sentiment for the last, 50 reviews. And AI is really trying to understand, okay, this was an issue in the last 50. So I want to look at the new reviews to see if the issue keeps happening, is it keeps recurring, or it stopped and is being fixed. And that's really what I want you to take away from this video is keep an eye close on sentiment trends and what are people saying over time, not on a review basis, but over a month or 2 months worth of reviews. That's why velocity is so important. The last thing that I want to look into my audit when I'm auditing a business is community signals. And here, primarily Reddit is one of the strongest ones. The only one that I'm looking at today, but there are other ones that are being considered, of course. I mean, social media, all that is also being considered by AI. Now, when it comes to Reddit, Reddit has a very heavy weight in the formula of what AI is looking for. So obviously, if it sees positive mentions, it's a good thing, it's going to help you. But if it sees bad experiences on Reddit, it's going to be detrimental. So it's just crazy. It's one of those things, right? It's just like credit score. It is so difficult to improve your credit score, but it's very easy to drop. It is the exact same thing. So in this case, it is neutral. Community signals seems to be fine. There's no risk. And that is a good thing. So bottom line for Skin Spirit Austin, there are some things that need to be fixed. That could be just the missing piece to be able to get to be the default answer on prompts and when people are searching and asking for recommendations. They've done a good job so far, but these little mistakes or misalignments are costing them visibility. Now, let me switch gears and talk about one that is actually a competitor from the first one that I kept seeing over and over being recommended. So I figure, why don't I show you what good looks like? What is a better positioning and alignment for AI to be recommending this business? So this one is Viva Day Spa, also in Austin. And here we're seeing an AI visibility score of 40 out of 100. Now, 40 is actually a really good number. I would consider anything over 30% inclusion rate or visibility score to be in the good. We have clients that have reached 70% because they've been established for 30 years. We've done everything we could do for them and optimize and just maintain them. From the businesses that I work with or that I've audited, I have not seen anything past 80%. Again, it's not the goal. The goal is not to be 100. The goal is just to be as high as possible with what you have, what locations you have, and just make sure that all those locations are properly optimized. But also, you want them to be kind of standardized. Imagine you have a location with 40% and then another one with 5% visibility. That's your cue, right? That you have some things to do in that one. So let's talk about this one. So Viva Day Spa at 40%, I expect platform coverage, right? So I am seeing mentions in ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. Compared to the first one, it was only ChatGPT. I can't see that Perplexity is 7 out of 10, Gemini is 4 out of 10, and ChatGPT is 1 out of 10. So I'll be curious to see why is ChatGPT only 1 out of 10. But the important part is they are mentioned across all three. Competitor visibility. Another location is actually beating this location. They are multi-location, and that's fine, right? Maybe that one is closer to the user. As long as your brand is out there, that's great. There is one competitor that is still beating them at 13 mentions. And then obviously there's going to be other companies like we talked about in the first example that are going to be on the lower visibility side. So they're doing great. They're ranking 3 out of 4 in my audit, in my test. They're definitely visible in Gemini and Perplexity. I see an opportunity on ChatGPT, so that means there's something missing that could be making ChatGPT doubt. And honestly, they're in a good spot right now, but it could be better. There's always, anything in SEO, it could always be better, right? But to be fair, they're doing a good job. Now let's look at the audit of this location. All right, so here's the Selecta audit. Again, not surprised, 80% answer ready is the Selecta score. I expected it to be high because they are being recommended in prompts. They are being recommended across 3 different LLM models. So they're looking really good. Recommendation probability is 38%. That is exactly what I was talking about. It is over 30%. That is good. So let's dig deeper and see what else can we find that they're doing right and see if we can find anything that they've done or that they're missing, right? Maybe a couple of gaps. So they are being recommended for MedSpa keywords or MedSpa prompts, which is great because those are really the highest volume ones. Next, I want to kind of compare because I know they're doing a lot of things well. Like I can see entity clarity is strong, local signals are strong, corroboration is strong. I also know that they are very active in reviews. They have 4.7 star, a little bit lower, zero point 0.2 lower than the first example, but they have 482 Google reviews. So when we look at the speed a week ago, so we're talking about 3 in the last week, 3 2 weeks ago, and then 1. So they're about averaging about 3 reviews per week, which is great. That's exactly what I was talking about in the first example. And let me see, what else do we want to look at? Because I want to go into the issues, right? What can we find about them? So if we put their URL into the schema checker, let's check that. Oh, okay. The first thing that I would recommend when I click on this location, it's taking me to the homepage of their website, which is not ideal, especially when you're multi-locations. You have to link your Google Business Profile to your local page, to that specific locations. I don't know. Let's see if they have actual pages for these locations. They do. So they have actual pages, but they're not linking to them from Google Business Profile. And that's very interesting to me because that's what I would say. Obviously, we can audit this page individually, but number one, there's a misconnect there. Let me explain why. So AI is going to Google Business Profile and to your website and trying to crawl and get your information. But when they visit Google Business Profile and then they go to the website linked, they're going to your homepage. That means they're learning about your brand, but they don't have the information they need from the location right there and then. So, assuming that AI is going to your homepage, if I plug this into the schema checker, I do not expect to see the correct schema because that's the homepage, right? Especially when you have multiple locations, you're not going to have the specific location schema that AI needs because I'm checking the homepage. So yeah, I mean, I see web page, I see a bunch of different schema that are not aligned with the specific location. They are more aligned as the company, right? This is our homepage. This is about our company. This is our headquarters, social media. There's no address because this is not a local page. And there is no phone number because this is not a local page. So this is a big miss if you ask me. None of these, I'm opening all the different schema options and none of them are, again, I did not expect them to be, right? We're talking about the homepage. The homepage is correctly set up. The misconnect here is that Google Business Profile for that location should link to the location page, not to the homepage. So if I grab the URL of the homepage, the location page, too many pages here, and I run that one, I would expect to see the correct schema now because I'm looking at specifically the location that we're auditing. So when I open this and I see they have a web page, that's okay. I want to see if they have local business. They don't have local business, but they have organization. So I'm going to expand organization and I'm looking at, this is just as a company. So that's kind of similar than the homepage. That tells me that they have some sort of plugin that is adding schema, the same schema to all the pages, which is okay-ish. But for local page, I mean, you don't need all the information about the company headquarters. You need the information about this location. So I found one. Seems to be multi-category. So it's organization, place, and day spa. Again, day spa is hit on the spot. That's what we want to see. I would like to see medical business. And I don't think technically organization is duplicated. So there's two of them because one's being applied by your plugin across your entire website. And then they're adding it again to this page, which is duplicated, right? It's just creating more noise to AI. And that's what we want to avoid. And then there's some image here. So when I'm looking at this one, organization, day spa, I can see, let me see what I see. I see their logo. Okay, I see their telephone, geo coordinates. I see their opening hours, which are empty. Wow, that's another red flag right there. They have it empty. So it just says Monday blank, Tuesday blank. Oh, okay, never mind. So I believe they are open every day. So they're wrapping every day with opens at 9, closes at 2100. Okay, so never mind. They do have business hours there. I don't see the address. Did I mention the address? No, the address is missing. So, I mean, those are the most obvious things that if you ask me, that's where I would start optimizing. And in this case, they optimized a lot of other things and they did really well, but they're missing like some of the key components that AI really needs. And when you add them up, right, is one of those things, it's always been with SEO, but it's now more important in AI. When you have a data discrepancy or footprint discrepancy, it can be just the one little thing, but the problem is not how big or small it is. It's just that it's creating confusion for AI. At the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's creating hesitation, and that's kind of an issue. So that could be why they're not ranking higher selected score, or even remember we talked about at the beginning now is clicking. ChatGPT is only recommending them on 1 out of 10 prompts. These things could be the cause because even though it has all these good things and positive optimizations, these little nuances could be causing confusion to AI, especially linking to the homepage, right? That's a big no-no. I would highly recommend switch that. If you have multiple locations, Google Business Profile should point to your local page because your local page is going to have the correct data that AI is looking for in order to recommend that location. Kind of what I said, right? It's going to have that schema for phone number and it's also going to be listed on the page. I bet you on the homepage, the phone number might be a little bit different because they have multiple locations. And yes, they could have a central office that picks up all the phone calls, but it's not going to match what's on Google Business Profile. because I'm sure Google Business Profile probably has a different phone number. So if I look at it, 4832, and over here, yep, different phone number. So, and then if I look at schema, it's probably going to be a mismatch as well, right? So all these little mismatches are adding up to causing what we saw earlier. I'm going to go back to the mention tracker, Viva, to this. The inconsistency that Perplexity is recommending them more, Gemini is okay, and then ChatGPT is only 1 out of 10. So I know this video was long. Again, I was a little bit all over the place, but that's what I wanted. I just wanted to open two different businesses, multi-locations, one bit larger than the other, one clearly investing heavily in SEO and probably AI SEO. The other one seems to be doing some SEO, but is very far behind. But what's crazy to me is I haven't even go deeper into level 2 of optimizations or audit. We just scratched the surface and we already found a bunch of issues. So I invite you, I'm going to drop a link in the description for my Select Auditor. Keep in mind, I'm still working on it. We're still, as I'm doing these audits, I'm seeing things that I should add or things that I should change, just like we talked about how many years are in business. But I want to keep practicing because that's how I'm going to get this auditor in a really good spot. I already have great success with it. I found a bunch of issues with other clients, fixed them, and within 30 days, they were #1 on AI search. So it's been working really well. I'm doing all these audits on my own, behind closed doors because I need to learn and improve this. And I say, why don't I start recording them? So let me know in the comments if you like this audit, if you have additional questions on what else should I add, what else are you curious to see in an audit, or if you want me to run the report and maybe make a video about it so I can give you free advice on how to fix it, drop it in the comments as well. I would love to do it. Let me know what your company name, your address, and I can take it from there. And at the same time, again, link in the description box if you want to run this audit yourself. The link will take you to run your own audit, check AI visibility. You just enter your business name, business category, and your primary service, which is going to be used for the prompts to check. And then let's see what it comes back to. I would highly recommend that you do it and you start tackling one by one those little things. Or if you need help, reach out. There is a link in the auditor. Or if you need help to fix this and really take it up a notch, there's a link to schedule a call. We can talk about strategy and we can go from there, see how we can help, just like we've been helping dozens of clients go from being found on Google now to be chosen and recommended on AI. All right. Well, thank you so much. If you stayed all the way to the end of the video, really appreciate you. I hope you take advantage of the auditor. I'm going to keep working on it, but let me know if you want any specific use cases or if you want me to audit your own business, drop it in the comments. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Smash that subscribe button and I'll see you on the next episode. Keep hustling.